Hello, good morning, traders, and I want to welcome us to another morning analysis. Today is Friday, the 6th of February, 2026. Now, as usual, we'll look at our fundamentals and we'll go to the chart to check the technicals. There are quite a number of fundamental events today. By 2:30 p.m., there'll be employment change and unemployment rate from Canada. This is Canada's version of NFP. Now, NFP for United States was supposed to hold today, but the United States already postponed that event to next week, Wednesday. That's 11th of February. So please take note of the change in date for NFP. NFP is now next Wednesday, 11th of February by 2:30 p.m. But today we have employment change and unemployment rate from Canada. And I'll show you this instrument I'm looking out for to trade for this particular news event. And by 4 p.m., there'll be IVPMI prelim from Canada, prelim UOM consumer sentiment, and prelim UOM inflation expectations. So let's just go straight to the chart and let me show you the instruments I'm looking out for and for the two events. All right, so I'll start with the card. Now, I'll be looking at the GBP card today for the news from Canada, and I'll start the analysis from the daily time frame. On the daily time frame, we can see price is in an uptrend with a support zone coinciding with that uptrend, making this region a confluence zone. So technically, we expect a move to the upside. And we can still filter down to 4-hour time frame. And you can see still on the 4-hour time frame is a perfect confluence where in an uptrend, we have price still trending up with that rejection candle. So if the data from Canada comes out as actual less than forecast, that is, the news comes out bad for the Canadian dollar, that will lead to a bullish trigger for the GBP card. And the reason is because the card in this instance is the quote currency, compared to an instrument like KJPY, KCHFY is the base currency. So again, if the data comes out bad for the Canadian dollar, that will lead to a bullish trigger on GBP card. So by 2:30 p.m. when this data will be released, just look out for the outcome. If it's actually greater than forecast for the two events again, let's go back to the Forex factory. So the two events will be employment change and unemployment rate. If it comes out that the data is a red, that will lead to a bullish trigger on GBP card. So I want us to take note of that. Now I'll switch over again to the charts and we'll look at the instrument I'll be looking out for with respect to the news from United States. And I'll be looking at the USD-JPY. Now USD-JPY hit a resistance zone, a support on resistance zone very recently, just like 2 days or yesterday thereabout. So this is the daily time frame. In fact, if you look at it critically, it actually extends to this region. So we have a resistance turn support turn resistance. But for convenience, let's just make it a support rather turn resistance. And the candle that closed yesterday closed as if kind of a rejection candle up there with a candlestick with long shadow and a tiny body. Well, small shadow, not really a long shadow, at least small upper shadow, small lower shadow, and a small body likewise. So technically, we're looking for a bearish movement. You can see today's candle is already giving the bearish sentiment by having the red color. So we're expecting a downward movement on the USD-JPY technically. And we can flip further to 1-hour time frame. Now, 1-hour time frame, we can draw a trend line to form a rising wedge pattern, a second one. And we can see that price already broke out. However, there's still a minor support zone here that price needs to break to see, further bearish movement. So in the news from United States this afternoon, if the data comes out as actual less than forecast, that will lead to a bearish breakout on the USD-JPY. Now let's go back to the Forex Factory page to check on that. So if the data, now in this case, we might ignore the Canadian dollar IVPMI. So we'll be focusing on the prelim UOM consumer sentiment and the prelim UOM inflation expectation. So if the data comes out bad for the Canadian dollar, a red, we can trigger a sell on the USD-JPY. All right, that will be all from my end this morning. The market is kind of quiet this morning. I'm not seeing any other setup apart from those two. But in the course of the day, if we sight for that setup, we'll definitely let you know. And don't forget to join us by 12:30 p.m. for the afternoon analysis session. Do take care and have a great day. Bye-bye.